3 terms.
Possibly 3. And I've said I'm Chris Hill, so I'm a Golden Bay Ward Councillor, but I chair the Environment and Regulatory Committee. Yep.
Gavin Dawson, Governance Advisor, Subcommittee.
Kia ora, Shannon Green, Team Leader for Regulatory Support.
Kia ora, I'm Shane Bruns, the Regulatory Services Manager for TDC.
Do you want to introduce yourselves? Is it cool?
Yeah. Hi, I'm on it.
Yep. Hi, Quaid.
Hello, I'm Caroline, I'm Quaid's mother.
Kia ora.
I'm Millie, and I'm Quaid's partner, and this is my daughter Ariel.
Hi, Ariella.
Hi, I'm Lexi, I'm regular these guys, my daughter, and
Hi. Great, thank you. Just some housekeeping things. So fire exit, you can see the signs up on here. This is a public hearing, so all information and comments will be published online, and the meeting's being recorded, so it's a basic standard council procedure, and it's available on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. Good order is requested at all times, and we've got these microphones, so if we don't have them on, I mean, we'll use them. In a bigger group, you sort of really do need them. But, we do actually have someone on Zoom. So Catherine Hubbard from Stuff is on Zoom. If we don't have the mics on, then Catherine won't be able to hear us. So I'll just remind you to do that if we need to. And just to go through what the process is today is that, Craig, you'll give an explanation of facts and your statement that you want to make. And then there's an opportunity for us 3 elected members to ask any questions for clarification. And then the staff will present the report and the recommendation, which Shannon, I think you'll be presenting that. And then we adjourn the meeting. And then that's all that's required from you. And then we'll meet and make a decision. So we go into what's called deliberations. And then once we've deliberated and made a decision, then the meeting's reconvened, and then we close the meeting up. Is there any questions so far? Okay. And I understand, Craig, you've got a copy of the report that's been put to us. And the recommendation that's in front of us today is around dangerous dog classification appeal. So it's over to you really to let us know what you'd like to let us know, and just pop your mic on.
Well, I'm here to say my dog isn't a dangerous dog. Like, I've had him since he was 3 weeks old. He's never attacked or anyone, like never been aggressive. Only reason, he did what he did because well, I'm the first, it's my first dog, and then I got another girl dog, and my brother got a girl dog too, and they both come on heat. And my boy was, being protective over them, and we didn't know you shouldn't have, people around your house while other dogs are on heat. And I'm the first dog owner, and then we've done research now, and we know not to have people around, at home if the dogs are on heat. But he's never shown aggressive or anything before. And, so I didn't think any of it. And then, I was in bed when it happened, but my partner was the one what's seen everything happen. So she'll be the one to explain it.
I can do that if you like. So it was actually my niece who was bitten. And I've written I can read it to you, or I can give it to you and you can read it. But basically, it was an isolated incident. I've been living with Quaid for 1.5 years. Onyx has slept in my bed since I moved into that house, and he actually, I know for Quaid, he was a massive part in having to, get through his last relationship. And also he, Onyx was there for me for my relationship. He slept in my bed every night with me. He was great. He was, he was just a good dog. And I'm sorry, I'm quite nervous, so I might ramble on a little bit. But I do have a copy from what Lexi has written here and a copy of what I've written. But if you took the time out to know not Onyx and even spend 5 minutes with him, he's a beautiful dog. He's very animated. He's like a human. And Ariella loves him. I know that Zadie loves him. We all love him. He's beautiful, and we wouldn't even classify him as a dog if we could. He's like a human to us, and he's like Quade's son. So that's why we're here today, because we understand what happened was horrible, and that was my niece that got bitten. So it's a position that I've been put in that's horrible, you know. But I do believe that there needs to be a consequence, and we do want to take accountability for what's happened. Getting rid of Onyx's nuts is a possibility. We would accept that and we understand that, but to change his whole family and home dynamic would be quite difficult for him, and we don't know how he would be, or the outcome of his mental health, or what kind of dog he would turn into if we had to chain and muzzle and kennel him, because he's a very loving dog who wants to be around other people. He's beautiful. And anyone that takes the time to know him would see that. So I've got these letters here, which explain some more stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They can be handed in here, can't they, for us to consider when we deliberate? Yeah, thank you.
And, you know, he's never shown aggressive every time I'm taking him out. He's never shown aggressive against other dogs or humans or anything. You know, I've had heaps of people come up and ask for pets. But then if I put a muzzle on him, he goes depressed and people don't want to come up to him. And it just makes him look like a dangerous dog then if you put a muzzle on him. And he's not. You know, he's classed as. Everyone wants to come up to him and give him pats when I'm running him out. And it's like, I don't, you know, sometimes because I run him on my bike, I don't have his lead on him, but I have the lead in my backpack because I've got an electric collar on him and I have the remote right here 24/7 with me. So it's like, you know, if he goes out of control, I can put it as on from 1 to 99 electric. So it's just like, if you put that on you, I put it on 17 and it dropped me to the ground. So, you know, it's strong.
Yeah.
So if he goes out of, you know, out of line, I just give him one zap and it's got volume and it's got noise and vibrate too. So it's, you know, he's well behaved. He's never been out of line before. So that's why I was shocked when I was in bed and she come running in saying, oh, your dog's just bit my niece.
Yeah.
So, it's, you know, I freaked out because I didn't know what to happen. I thought she was talking bullcrap, but mind my French, but,
Yeah.
you know, I've never experienced it before because he's, you know, he's like my son. He's like a human. You know, he sits up at the table on his chair when we're eating dinner and he'll eat dinner too.
Yeah, he's at the
You know,
table with us.
He sits like a human. He doesn't, he's not a dog. You know, he's my son, you know.
Yeah.
And like just going back to the part about dogs being on heat. So after all that happened, we did a lot of research to find out why this did happen, and the dog's temperament can change, and it does change when other dogs are on heat. And I guess it definitely was our responsibility to know that and to have kept other people around that come to the house away while the dogs were on heat. So I definitely take responsibility for that part now that we know more information about, you know, animals and the dog.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything extra you'd like to add before there's any questions from Councillor Mike and Councillor Kit?
Hi, like I said, I'm Quade's mother, and this is my partner, Michael.
Michael?
Yeah, and we've known on it since Quade first brought him home, and like Quade, if he didn't have Onyx, I don't think Quade would be here. He's been basically a support dog. Like Quade he's, as Chip may know, he's had problems in the past and that where he's misbehaved and he's, you know, taken consequence for that. But since having Onyx, he's pretty much turned his life around. And like I said, I don't think Quade would be here to this day if he didn't have him.
My boy's 3 and I'm almost coming up 3 years sober. Like, you know, I've taken off drugs, you know.
Yeah.
I still smoke a bit of weed, but apart from that, you know, I've gone out of trouble. You know, he's made me change my life.
Yeah.
You know, if he's reached him as a dangerous dog, I don't know what I'd do. You know, because I won't be able to take him out. I won't leave my house because he won't be able to leave.
Well, Quade was diagnosed with depression at the beginning of the year, and like with having Onyx and that, getting him out and about, and that, like, he's had bouts of depression before when he was younger, and that as well. But like I said, with having Onyx, it gets him out, it gets him motivated, and it stops him having to think just about himself, and that gives him something else to be responsible for.
Yeah. Thank you.
But I wasn't there at the incident, so
No.
I can't say why it happened.
No, but you know your son, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Question from you, councillor Mike.
Thank you. Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. 2 questions. He's obviously a much loved dog, but he's not desexed. The reason why he's not desexed, and would you consider having him desexed?
He wasn't D6 because well, I didn't want him to get D6 at the start, like, because he's a bulldog, they can change. It's like they can go lazy, and up to 5 you don't want to get them denutted, I've been told. We've done research because they can go back, and they can just go depressed, and I didn't want that. I wanted my dog to be out and loving, and having fun, enjoying a bit of life. And well, then I wanted him to do a deed once before I got his nuts taken off. He's done his deed, so I don't mind getting his nuts taken off now. So yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah, excuse how I said it, but
Second question.
No,
That's the
stop.
3rd one, actually. So he's now done his deed.
Yep.
You're happy to have him desexed.
Yep.
But you'll be concerned that his mental attitude might change, or his.
well, he's older now, like he's a bit older now, like and he's since he's done his deed, he knows what that was about. But before, I didn't want him to get him desexed, until he knew what that was about. And now he's done it, and I don't mind, it'd be sweet, he's done his deed, and then he'll be happy.
Councillor Pitt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Craig, this is the first dog you've ever owned?
Yep.
When you were growing up, did your parents have dogs?
Yep. But I was in foster care, so it's like, I had hunting dogs with me, and, I was raised around farm dogs. So, they did have pet dogs, but, my mum had dogs and that, but
They were deceased.
yeah.
So I have this, I've seen the injuries that the dog inflicted, and they're quite horrific. Would you agree with that?
Yep.
And you acknowledge it was your dog that did this?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I need.
Thank you. And it must have been very horrible for you all when this happened. I can
It
imagine
was.
it was
Yeah, well,
pretty,
it was
pretty
my niece.
distressing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
Um,
they've fallen out, and she doesn't have anything to
I
do
don't
with,
have any contact,
Yeah.
I don't have any contact with my sister, unfortunately, because of
since
this.
it's, yeah,
But at the end of the day, what happened,
it was
it's
an
horrible.
accident.
Yeah, it was an isolated incident. And after this, I hope to be able to get, our relationship back, but
Yeah.
we need to get through this first.
Yeah. So there's been a number of consequences, that
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of not wanting to, so looking at, I'll be frank with you, looking at the classification options that were available in terms of what happened, I feel like it could easily have, it's not my role to work these things out, but it just seemed like it could easily have slipped into a different classification. So I was a little surprised, not surprised, but I thought, it could have been quite a different scenario that you're in, I think, with your dog. But in terms of the muzzle, what is it about the muzzling that you
Oh, it depends.
don't accept, or that why you don't think that's necessary?
Well, it's the piece of paper saying, I can't have him inside at home. If there's people at home, he has to be on a muzzle. He's got to be in a cage, and that's unfair. I don't mind him having a muzzle in the public, if he has to. But, he's not harmless against anyone. But, when he puts a muzzle on, you can just see and just goes, looks at the ground. He's not happy. He doesn't want to run.
Yeah. And
But then I can do research and get a different muzzle. So it's, where it's just one what's wrapped around his mouth and then hooks onto a harness. So it's not one what's full covered.
right.
So then,
Yeah. And have you been muzzling him in public?
Yep.
Yeah.
and he's not liking it.
Well, yes, Councillor Mike.
I've got one further question through you, Madam Chair. His environment at home sounds like it's a really neat one. Gets
Yep.
to bed with you. Eats at the table.
Yep.
What about the fencing arrangements?
I've put a double gate up so he can't escape. I've got a 7-foot fence around the whole house. So he can't leave the property at all.
And so when people come to the property, can they come to the front door without seeing Onyx?
Yep. Well, I put a doorbell on so they can push the doorbell so they don't actually, but Onyx doesn't bark. If people come, he'll come up and lick them if people come,
It's not a very good guard dog. No.
Yeah.
So this was Onyx that we met out in the foyer
Yeah,
just
yep.
before.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you.
Okay.
You've made clear how you feel about this, and I think that's understood by the panel members here. It's time for staff to present their report, and it's not really a debate. It's not like just as that you've just been able to freely express yourselves. So in presenting the staff report and the recommendation, that's a part of the process that they do, and we all sit and listen. So I'll hand over to you, Shannon. Thank you.
Kia ora. Through Madam Chair. So the report outlines the incident and the decision we made in relation to the tag and the classification. Under the Dog Control Act, Section 31 says we have to just classify a dog as dangerous if we have reason to believe, we have evidence that says that the dog has committed aggressive behaviour. So that's Section 31A. 31(1)(a), Territorial Authority has, on the basis of sworn evidence, testing to aggressive behaviour by the dog on one or more occasions. So that was the grounds for the classification. The incident itself did leave us with quite a few, options. But as the report outlines, the incident was quite severe, the attack was quite severe, and so we went with the classification, and we recommend that it's upheld because of the incidence and severity of the incident. The classification doesn't require Onyx to be muzzled on his property, and the classification requires Onyx to be muzzled and on lead in public on his property, and he needs to be secured on a portion of the property that does not require him to be able to get to the front door of the property. So you can get to the front door without meeting Onyx effectively, like you've already said you've done, and does require neutering of Onyx. Doesn't require muzzling on the property. So just wanted to clarify that as well. Yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much you've read the report, so you've seen outside of things, but want clarity around the effects. Any questions?
Any questions, councillors, of the staff report? Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So my understanding is there needs to be access to the front door without having to walk past the dog. That's correct?
Yeah, so must ensure that from notice the dog is kept securely within a secure fenced portion of the property, so it's not necessary to enter to obtain access to the front door. So not walking through a part where the dog has access to.
Yeah, well, I've put a big gate up and I've put a doorbell on the gate, so no one needs to come to the front door. It's a camera doorbell, so they can push that and then comes because of the dogs, So there's a big sign up saying beware of dogs, and there's doorbells what you push, and it's a video one, and it comes up as soon as they push it on my screen on my phone.
Thank you for clarifying. Is there anything extra that you'd like to highlight from your report, Shannon?
Madam Chair. Not really highlight more than is already in the report. It's pretty clear in the report.
Yes, it is. And the main point being that we must classify a dog as dangerous under certain circumstances. So we're responding to the law in that case.
That's right.
Yeah. Councillor Mike.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. For the staff, a couple of questions. You've visited the property and you are happy with the fencing and the gating and doorbell. Second question is that the health and safety of the animal. It's, to me, it looks well groomed, well looked after, happy animal. Do you have any concerns about the welfare of the animal?
Through Madam Chair. The dangerous dog classification gives 30 days from the receipt of the notice to comply with the classification, including fencing requirements. I would preliminary from the information that's been provided today so that it wouldn't be compliant because access to one door of the dwelling house is required without meeting the dog. I haven't been to the property personally, but our rangers will go and check when the 30 days is completed. The welfare of the dog, from what we saw today, no, I'm not concerned about the welfare of the dog at all.
Okay. Nothing further? Thank you for the report, very clear. And that's this part of the process, really. So, and you'll know from the report that the recommendation that's in front of us, so the three of us make the decision, is the resolution is that we receive the report. That's just the council thing that happens, and that we either uphold the dangerous classification or we rescind it, which is he wouldn't then have that classification. So we're going to adjourn the meeting, and we'll go into deliberations and make that decision.
Just one query, if he was D6, and would that change his classification or not?
Question for Shannon.
Through you, Madam Chair. No, the classification requires T6ing as well.
That's
Okay. Look, I appreciate you all coming in and letting us know the situation from your perspective, and we'll make a decision and you'll be advised of that.
I have one more question for Shannon. So I have to have access to the front door.
Through Madam Chair. Yes, that someone has to be able to access at least one door of the dwelling.
Okay, that's sweet. I'll build a fence out the back so we can just go out the back. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
sweet.
Good to clarify that, eh?
Yeah, yep.
Look, good to meet you, and thank you for coming in, and you'll hear in terms of hearing and being advised the process there.
The process is once the subcommittee has made its decision, and we'll notify the appellant as soon as possible.
Yeah. Okay. So you'll hear before too long.